DJ Dewey Rock on the track.
Welcome to Immerse Podcast 360. I'm your host, Maserati. We want to thank you for tuning in. No matter where you are in this metaverse world, we're going to continue to bring you the best quality content informative that we know how. We want to thank you guys for all the likes, shares, and subscriptions on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and now TikTok. We want to greatly thank you guys for tuning in for this episode of Beyond the Game, as we're going to visit with my classmate from the best class, the All the Way Live 95. We got a great guest. He is a former NLU Indian. He was a Bastrop High School graduate that says a class of 1995, 3-year letterman in football and track and field, 2-time all-district in football, 1-time all-district track and field, where he still holds the shot put record at Bastrop High School. He is a proud alumni. He is a college graduate of the University of ULM, formerly known as Northeast Louisiana University, where he was a defensive end and he was a 3-year letterman. His purpose is life. He's a praying man with the aims to reach as many people as possible through the power of prayer. He's known for his social media TikTok as Mr. Encourager, solely dedicated to prayer and inspiration. I give you none other than my classmate. We call him Big Mike. I give you Mr. Michael Turner is in the building. How you doing today, Big Mike?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Fabulous day, wonderful day. It just, I hopefully all across everywhere. And man, I just want to say special thanks to Immersed Podcast 360 just for all of the wonderful things you're doing in the city and abroad, man. You have a lot of wonderful guests, and I'm just privileged and humbled just to be a part of this great conversation we're getting ready to have. So hello, everyone out there.
Most definitely, most definitely. Big Mike, for the people that may not know, you came up over there off Ludlam. Kind of share with the people about your upbringing and your parents being so inspirational to you coming up as a youngster.
For sure. Growing up in Bastrop, man, it was probably, I would have wished no other place to be growing up in, because I had a balance of what I'm experiencing in life today. And specifically growing up in Ludlam, man, I had, it was good, bad, and it was ugly. It's the truth to be told, but it allowed me to grow up around things I needed to persevere today in life. So, when I talk about Ludlam Street, and there's probably more commonality as I think about that all across most city kids, right, they're growing up. But, my parents, specifically my dad, Thomas Turner Sr., and then my mom, Dinah Turner, who most will know, dad worked for the plywood mill going across it. And my mom was a pillar in the community working at Morehouse General Hospital, and then went on to do some other things. They've always instilled in my brother and my sister, Leslie Turner and Tom Turner Jr., they've always instilled in us principles, right? Talked about principles, and there was boundaries. And, Brother Maserati, I would say one of the principles I remember, we grew up in the circle of Ludlam. If familiar with that area in Bastrop, it was a circle. And Dad and Mom had a principle they taught us. You stay in the circle, you're safe. You go outside of that circle, you might get in trouble. And there was times, we were disobedient, and we would go outside of that circle, little to what we knew that Mom and Dad had watchmen outside of the city. Claude Roten, who fed a lot of kids and had a lot going on with his small quick pack store there. There were so many people up and down the street that if we got out of line and stepped outside, they would tell us, I'm going to tell your daddy, and I'm going to tell your mom. And so that meant the fact that they would tell on us scared us where we needed to be, because we knew Mom and Dad would handle business if we got home. It wasn't a back talk. It wasn't a disobedient. You don't be disobedient, because they were structured. Yes, they were parents who would teach us right, and they would hold us up to a high standard, but we also was a family of love. And so what I learned from my parents growing up is, there were certain people in the neighborhood, they would tell us, hey, don't be like that young man, or don't be like that person, not to necessarily down them, but there was something that they saw out there that say, hey, listen, this person right here, they may be up to no good. So don't even hang around them, And so that taught me and my brother and my sister, specifically myself, that we got to be mindful and watchful of how we ought to live our life. And that's that's the good part. The other part, man, I grew up around so many athletes, so many gifted and talented people. And I won't name names, but so many people that was talented. And man, you had guys that were superior at baseball. You had guys that were guys and gals that were superior at basketball. There was girls that would come but in our little neighborhood hoop and just would outscore some of the guys, man. And just growing up in an environment where that was strong. And then you had kids that were just spelling bee fanatics, a lot smarter than some of us.
Right.
And so just growing up all around that greatness in my city, man, has really, specifically in Ludlam, what we would call cross the ditch, paved the way. And I'll say this and we can move on. But it also left me with a drive, and as I come to know that our city, especially where I lived in across the ditch, what that really meant. And that ditch is where all of the waste from the city will pour in to that local spot. And yet, so it told me something that in order for me to succeed, I got to have a mind. I got to think beyond where I am. And that's some of the things that my parents always taught us, is to think beyond where you are. And so I'm just grateful, man, for the upbringing. I'm grateful for the city and all the wonderful people that poured into our life.
Most definitely, Big Mike. And being from a great place, like you say, from across the ditch, how was it? You don't want to name names, but you were competitive. You had to be competitive coming across there with all the great athletes. But you were a dual. People don't know you were a dual athlete as a young man playing baseball and football. But kind of share with us, how was the competitive nature and that drive you talk about coming from across that ditch?
There was no day we wasn't playing any sports outside. You saw kids outside. In fact, you were actually a strange child if you wasn't outside. If you stayed in the house with your parents or with your mom and your dad or with your grandmother, man, you was considered strange in my neighborhood. If we had to come out and get you, you would kind of look, you'll be different. So it was girls and, the girls be out there playing double dutch and playing hopscotch, man, 1, 2, 3 red light, just some form of activity. Then you had the guys, they'll play too. But man, I grew up in the era where guys went outside. We didn't play flag football. What is flag football to us in that era? Man, we played smash mouth football. Nobody got injured, no sprained ankles, no concussion, at least we thought it wasn't. And so where you talk about where that athleticism, where that competitive drive come from, you had guys that were taller than me. You had guys that were all older than me, but you had guys that were shorter than me, but they were so athletically fast. And I'll name a couple, man, that sits in my mind. I'll use Michael Williams for an example. Michael Williams played Bastrop High, graduated in 1996, and he went on to play for the Razorback, then went on to have a further his career from there. But man, me and him, I would be his defensive back, and he would be my the wide receiver. So I developed, just me and him and his dad throwing us passes. I developed, man, good footwork. And then you talk about other things. We would go to Jackson Park and we would play. So I would say, man, just going outside every single day contribute to a lot of my athleticism. And that's really what I was. It wasn't so much I was a great football player or I was a great this or great that. Man, I was just athletic. And having the height and then having guys like Antoine Randall, he was one of my classmates. Having guys like him would show me how he can get lower than me. Well, I'm competitive. You're not going to get lower than me, no matter how short if you're shorter than me. So it raised the bar to me that in order for me to succeed in life and do good in these sports, I got to become just nearly superior at most of the things that I do. So, man, I attribute all the guys in the neighborhood, even some of the great ladies and young ladies that was there, just to the person I am, to help me to develop into the athlete I became by going from Bastrop High to NLU.
Right, Big Mike. And you being my classmate, we played minor league baseball and Dixie Youth baseball, all that together. When we come back, we're going to jump into the Bastrop High era when you really became Big Mike. and that footwork you talked about took you to another level. When we come back out this intermission, share with us about the transition with playing with Bastrop to an 0-10 program to going to a Division II, now Division I school like NLU back in the day when we return after this intermission. We're here with Mr. TikTok himself, Mr. Encourager, the prayer warrior, my classmate, Michael Turner, when we return after this intermission.
Immerse 360 Podcasts focuses on uplifting rural and urban areas and dire conditions with no solutions by shedding light on pioneers, athletes, and political figures who have made an impression on Northeast Louisiana and surrounding areas. Immerse understands the social and civic needs to love, learn, live, and laugh. So, tap in every Sunday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. on all social networks and platforms. Always remember, Immerse 360.
I need that one-on-one. When you're back against the wall, here I come. And you can count on me. I need that one-on-one. When you only get one call, here I come. And you can count on me. I need that one-on-one. When you're back against the wall, here I come. This is a message to my son. I need that one-on-one.
Welcome back. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that's tuned in. We want to wish you guys and hope you having a beautiful Mother's Day. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Involved Social and Civic Club, Stepping Stones LLC of Jonesboro, Louisiana, and Northeast Counseling here in Scrap City. We're still here with TikTok social media icon, Mr. Encourager, a.k.a. Big Mike, my classmate, 95. Former NLU Indian defense end. He in the building, Michael Turner. Big Mike, before we went to intermission, we were sharing about coming from across the ditch and the competitive nature, but share with him about being old Bastrop Ram back in the 90s and when we wasn't at the top of our game and how you pushed through to go to NLU.
Yeah, man, thanks for that, man. I think probably my story would start by talking about my brother Thomas Turner Jr. and the times when he played football. And, most of us kids, your brother played football, and most of us kids was in, barely in the 6th grade or coming into, the junior high school. And man, we would come on that field, and watch on the sideline, so to speak, man. And we would see those gray, sort of silver helmets, and we would see those blue jerseys. And man, that meant a lot to us. But yet and still, we had a lot of our teams, though we had great athletes, a lot of those teams, they will go 0-10. They will go whatever the records was. We had losing records, so to speak. But then, man, I think it was probably around that 1993 era with the Keith Johnsons and with the Stacey Shaws and the Heizo Causeys and some of those other guys that was there, man. And we started to make a little turn, and I don't know necessarily what happened. I think that everybody just said, we're going to stick together. At the end of that year of 1994, with Fred Halston as our quarterback, the Marcus Sawyer as our running back, we had Marquise Emmanuel, we had different guys all the way. We had Talans, we had Michael Williams, man. We had Mitchell on defensive end, man. We had Tyrone Morgan. We had a whole lot of guys out there, man. You had Andre Rhodes on holding down the cornerback, Mr. Reverse himself, man, running back those punt returns. But we had all of that. And, man, we had a great football team. We were so good in the 1994 year when we played Neville High School. We came out of that game victorious, winning 7-6. And, man, we balled out hard. And then, we had a game against Washita. And I still say this to this day, man, Washita was a powerhouse. But if it wasn't for that the storm or all of that stuff, man, all that rain, I still say we'd have won that game. We would have stuffed Big James Spencer and took down Jermaine Brown, and would have did that. But when I look at all of that, man, I humbly have always said to myself that I wasn't the best athlete on the field. And I saw a lot of guys that when we played, Lee Aubrey, you was out there as well, that I'm sorry, Maserati, when you was out there as well, that, man, a lot of guys should have got a football scholarship. If not to a D1 college, somewhere. Old buddy of mine, Andre Rose, we still talk about that even to this day, just reminiscing. And man, that's just the truth. We had a lot of guys. And, I'll say this about me. My senior year, when I was deciding where I wanted to play football, I made my decision to play at NLU. I had offers at other places, but I made my decision to play for NLU when I solely based upon my son that I had in the 11th grade. My son, Christopher Turner, my girlfriend, then wife now, Deidre Hickenbotham, and now Deidre Lamisa Hickenbotham Turner. When we had him, my priorities shifted, bro. I was more in the classroom, and I wanted to go to NLU. But here's a true fact. NLU didn't offer me a scholarship right off the bat. It was one of your guys that you had on your show a few weeks back, Coach Gary Hines. Coach Gary Hines, man, and it took these, I'm saying this for a purpose, Coach Gary Hines, defensive coordinator Warren Trimble, and I'm sure Rick Hudson as well. But more or less those two guys, man, they made some phone calls. And they said they got a guy whose brother is playing in LSU and had a really great career. Take a look at it. So they brought me in. They brought me in, tried me out a little bit, and watched some film on me. Then that's when they offered me a scholarship. But, man, if it wasn't for those coaches that went to bat for me, I don't know where I would have played. I would went on to Southern, could have went on to Grambling, and those are great schools, don't get me wrong. I could have went way out of state somewhere. I had offers out of state. But I'm glad to be a hometown kid 30 minutes away. And then the great Reggie Lee, man, it would take me hours to tell you the stories about the phenomenal leader Reggie Lee was, who was a lot older than me. He brought me in, mentored me, and he didn't say a lot, but he stood for his principles, and I learned a lot from him, man. So it's guys like that really paved the way. Like I said, my brother himself paved the way for me to be the great athlete that I became. And I had an okay career, but when my son was born, my focus just shifted. And even when I found Christ, when I found God my junior year in college, that's really when it shifted that. It shifted from a guy who was out partying and clowning and, and running this and running that and just doing all kinds of stuff. And it transitioned into a guy who settled down, became a mentor to a lot of guys. I was in the dorm room. A lot of guys would be, going through different situations, and I would come in. And that's where you saw that mantra of Mr. Encourager would begin to come in. I didn't know what I was doing. I was young. But I was teaching FCA as a junior in college and then as a senior in college. And all of those things, man, would transition me. And I got that from those coaches. Coach Trumbull, he used to teach us FCA, back in high school, and would teach us, probably the one of the coaches I credit for being a coach who never cussed. And, and a lot of the ladies during track and a lot of people, we had such a love for Coach Warren Trimble because he stood for principle, and he was just all around great guy, man. But so I had a wonderful career playing football at Bastrop High, and then in junior. And I'll say this too: when I was recruited as an athlete to NLU. They officially actually brought me in offensive tackle because I had played offensive tackle my senior year in college. And the running backs, DeAndre Richardson and Kenny Williams and some of those guys, they would know me because I was the offensive guard, or offensive tackle rather. One of it depends on the play. And I was I would always pull. And, man, I would make ways. I would give guys, I would throw my entire weight just to open up a hole so them guys could go score a touchdown. But, man, it was just the fact that I wanted to be the very best that I can be for me. I wasn't competing against nobody else on that field. I was competing for me to be the very best. And that's the same thing I take in life, man. So I'm honored to be a part of a wonderful program, both at NLU and ULM now and for Bastrop High School.
And most definitely, Big Mike, being your classmate, you always was a stand-up guy. You was a leader. You never really was a follower. People don't know a lot about Big Mike, but You were one of the first guys, that brung us the big timers. We didn't know nothing about Cash Money, but somehow you and that little green little car came through bumping the big timers. And before we go to another intermission, Big Mike, I want you to share with the people about, it's ULM now, but when we were coming up, we died to be an NLU Indian, some of us. Share with the people about the culture of how it was in Monroe compared to what you hear now about ULM and compared to NLU.
Man, wow. Thanks for bringing up, man, my green Ford expired turquoise. Well, that sucker, man. I put some 15s in the back of that, man, and people would often tell me, I hear you coming before I even see you. And, man, a lot of that music came from my brother, man. I used to go down to LSU all the time to pick up the down south songs, and I would bring them up, man, and sell tapes for $5 and make a little money on the side. But specifically, man, about NLU, you said that, and the first thing came to mind is around 1998, we began to hear discussions that the football program, or at least the college as a whole, we were going to drop the name NLU so they can be incorporated, I guess, with the universities of, right? You got University of Louisiana at Lafayette, at Monroe, so forth and so on. And for us guys, man, we came on and when you play football, to all my athlete guys and all the women that plays basketball and baseball and other sports, when you develop a camaraderie, like for us, man, we bled on that football field. Literally, we often say that that library that people see right there on the college off the Desire River or whatever it's called, man, we paid for that. Our blood, sweat, and tears played for that, and here's why. Man, we played against top 10 teams in Florida Gators, Colorado, man, you name it, some Alabamas, man. We played against Auburn. We played against these teams, man, and we were good. Our first string was competitive. What the difference is between a small Division I and a big-time Division I school is they had 2 and 3 deep skill players. Well, we only had 1 deep. And once that first team goes out, we may not necessarily have it. But when they transitioned in 1999, we remember when they fully transitioned over to ULM, our football team boycotted it. They would come in and they would always give us decals to put on our helmet. Usually in NLU, right, they would have the arrow for NLU. For ULM, they would try to give us something, but our whole team boycotted, and I was one of the ones that led it. And when we did that, man, we didn't wear any decals on our helmet. If you go watch a football game from 1999 on this day, which I know is a little older for some of our younger generation, you would see us not having a decal on our football helmet. Why? Because we were so in love with the NLU brand, because we bled, we sweat, we cried, and we hurt just to make sure we can bring in funds to the university so we can be as great as we can, man. So now transitioning over, and I look at the college today, it's still kind of like what it is. You still have, diversity that looks the same. It was a sad day for me to see Olin in the Olin Hall, that long 11-foot building that we always see to be crumbled, but we understood why. Man, that place was a mess. So we was glad to see the upgrade of that and just some of the housing. I just hope, man, a lot of our local young kids would take the opportunity to seek another level of education, because you got a school right down the road, and there are ways you can get free scholarship. Ways you can get Pell Grants and all different things that can help you with your college, man. And so I hope that people will see ULM, my alma mater, and shout out to my graduation class of 2000 and around, that you can see that college, man, and y'all can just say, you know what, I want to be a part of something great. I want to do something great for my family and graduate, not just attend, but graduate from a local university.
And Big Mike, you're like the, I want to say, the third NLU graduate we actually had on the show. We gave commemoration to Mr. Jesse Burnett, and we had Mr. Bobby Joe Douglas on, and Kenny Nat. and now Mr. Gary Hines, so that you'll make the fourth. But this is what we like to do it here at eMERS 360. I like the way you gave recognition to your university, and you gave homage to them, and you encouraged others to attend. And it's not about Grambling, Southern, Tech. It's about Northeast Louisiana, period. And I like to just come back and just show the diversity of how many people from Bastrop that has went abroad throughout Northeast Louisiana and throughout America and have done phenomenal things as you are doing now in technology. And we come back from an intermission. We want to jump into that before we let you go on this Mother's Day night. We want you to share about how it is not being just an entrepreneur, but a black-owned entrepreneur in America today, and how prayer has continued to change things for you, and how your TikTok page is picking up and people are tuning in to look for Big Mike, that Mr. Encourage, to give them a prayer. We'll be right back with the class of 1995. We call him Big Mike. On TikTok, you know him as Mr. Encourager, the prayer warrior, when we return after this intermission. Welcome back to eMERS 360. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Kick Thrones of Bastrop City, Louisiana, Morehouse Community Development, and Burchell Family Insurance Agency. We're still here with TikTok icon, prayer warrior, Mr. Encourager, my classmate, Michael Turner, the proud class of 1995, former NLU Indian, is still in the building. Big Mike, before we went to intermission, you done brung us from cross the ditch on Lutlam all the way through the inspiration and inspiring things from your brother in Bastrop High School on to Reginald Lee at NLU until now. Share with us how it is in the technology world, not only being in it, but being an entrepreneur and being black owned.
You know, man, that's and thanks for that, man. Technology, bro, it is my, man, it's like a gift. You know, I wake up dreaming, and I think that dreaming mentality came from my mom. And I'll say this to moms out there, grandmothers and alike. Man, my mom taught me how to dream, and she would tell me, Mikey, look up in the stars and look around, and she would almost like encourage my mind to think beyond what I see. I remember I used to have a little Hot Wheels track, and this is all about technology. I used to have a little Hot Wheels track, and the track came just straight. That's what it was, just a straight track. Well, me and my cousin now have passed away, Chris Morrison, rest in peace, my brother. I made curves to that track. I made loops to that track. And so I was innovative as a young child. And it was my mother that taught me that. Now, growing up in an environment like Bastrop and Monroe in Northeast Louisiana, I actually went to college to become a social worker. I graduated with a degree in sociology. I graduated with that degree with a minor in criminal justice. So I had no idea that I wanted to be in technology. I wish, if you would turn back the hands of time, probably better fitting would be a degree in computer science. And I hope I want parents to know that as you look at the world that's transforming today, parents hear me, young people hear me, automation and robotics and information technology and cybersecurity, all of these terms that you're hearing, that that's where the world not is going. It is gone that way. And what I've seen is, I'll just give an example. In the industry where I work in, there are very few people who look like me, not just male, female, but just have the same color that I have. I'm talking about a ratio from 2, to 5, over to 500. There's just a lot of people who don't look like me in the IT industry. So I'm encouraging every parent to analyze your child and see if they are the type of child that dreams. And I need you to get behind them and making sure is what they call STEM here in the DFW area. I'm not sure if it's around that area or not, but
yeah, same thing.
Get them involved. Same thing. Good, man. Get them involved in that STEM program, that science, technology. Get them involved with that, man, where they can get a chance to understand that mathematics so they can see how they can innovate in their mind. So for me, technology means a lot. And I'll share this, that this is no disrespect to anyone of any skill. But if you look at the trends, you do have automation is taking over jobs that are easier to do. And again, this is no knock against anyone, but you look at cashiering, for an example. We have a fully automated McDonald's in the Fort Worth area or somewhere around that area, a fully automated McDonald's, where all you got to do is press a couple of buttons or order your food from your app, and you go up and you can go pick up your food. See, now, who knows how long that type of technology will get to the city of Bastrop, but the point of it is, if you look at trends, most things start in a big city, and then it will trickle down to the smaller cities. And so we got to be on top of that. We talk about Black excellence a lot in our Black community. And my encouragement to every parent out there, fathers and the mothers, get your kids involved in technology. Encourage your kids to go in and get a degree in computer science, specifically software engineering, so they can develop code, they can write applications, and they can do those things. And when you do it, man, it's just a booming industry. You got things like Chat GPT out there that it's a more smarter than a Google or a Bing search, where you can put in some data, write me, a poem for Mother's Day, and it would literally write you a heartfelt poem for Mother's Day in about 30 seconds. Wow, technology, right? And so, man, I really want to use this opportunity, this spotlight. If you don't hear nothing else Big Mike say, get your kids involved with technology. It's not enough of us. And we have some brilliant kids in the city of Bastrop. And you just got to encourage them to dream. And you got to stay on them. And you got to be positive around them. And you got to help them and guide them to an education. And you mentioned TikTok, my brother. Truth be told, I don't like social media because I work in technology. I know there's a lot of data that we provide to Facebook and other companies. They know who we are. There's no place we can go. They got our location. They got everything. They got when we take a bath, when we go to a restaurant, when we go out on dates. Man, they got when we mad, when we happy. They got all of that stuff. So I don't really like social media a lot, but I decided long ago that if I'm gonna be on social media, I'm gonna use my gift, and I want to encourage people. So it started out a lot, a little bit in Facebook, but Facebook lacked a little technology that I wanted. And then I found out this TikTok, and so that's where it is, man. And here's some truth that wows me every single time. Yes, I get an opportunity to give prayers and inspiration to people that may follow me, that may know me, but it's this audience from people in like Ghana, this audience for people in Jamaica, in places like that, man, all the way in Nigeria, places in Kenya. And I'm like, wow. And it's in huge percentages of people that are saying, thank you for the prayer and all of these wonderful things, man, that just encourages a brother to pray for people. And how it came about for me, is, I get on social media. I share things with my friends, date nights with my wife, or here's what's going on with my family or my kids, some successes, some trials, some tribulations. I try to share real life. But man, it is the awesome privilege when I get an opportunity to pray for a man who does not have the type of health care that we have. So we can go down the street and we can get health care probably by the end of the night. But when you go over into some of these in the African continent, or you go over in Jamaica and places like that, bro, when it takes them almost a year to get seen by a doctor, and you can pray for a man. He says, "Pray for me. I've had a stroke before, and I keep having them. They won't stop having them." And then you pray unto the Most High God, and then because I just believe in prayer and the power of healing. And you pray for him, and then he writes back, "Hey, it's been a week and I have not had this," or "It's been a month and I have not had this." Man, things like that, man, just blows me away that this small guy in this large city is being able to touch somebody across water. And this local stuff that goes on too. But man, that's why I'm sold out to just life in general, man. I'm sold out to technology. I'm sold out to just living the life that God has allowed me to live. And I'm not sure if you'll bring up this topic, but one of the things, man, I got from my parents is being a family man. And as I look around, and this is no knock against my brothers, man, y'all know I talk with y'all in love, but man, I found something in life that has helped me so great. And that's a definition of a man. We used to think that, the man that sold the most drugs on the corner was the man. We used to think that the man that had all these babies, he was a man, or he put on his boots and worked at the mill, he was the man, or he rode down to whatever job he had, that was a man. Man, I learned in my life that man, that's not manhood necessarily. It could be, but a man is a man. What if we did this, my brother, that men start learning who they are, and real men, authentic men, they reject passivity, they lead courageously, they accept responsibility without complaint, and then they have some eternal investments that they make. I don't think a woman in this world will complain about that kind of man. Now, they got a lot of stuff they can call us, but if a man will line up with those four things, and I do some mentoring, and I do some discipleship, and I do, every week I'm touching men some type of way, because I'm trying to replicate what I've been given and what I've lived, and I'm trying my best to replicate that throughout everywhere I'm go. So I just want to encourage men. You do a great job of working. A lot of you are with your kids playing basketball. Shout out to my brother Pat Jones. You're doing a great job, man. I love seeing what you're doing with your daughter in basketball. And there's others, man. Just so many other guys. Man, we're doing so many wonderful things, and continue doing that. But I would say for the others, man, the ones that's out there having babies after babies, man, we got to stop this trend. We got to break it. And we got to get back and come back to who we was rightfully created to be. And let's not make no excuses about Big Mike. That's how you was raised. Or you had a daddy to teach you that. Man, my daddy didn't have a daddy to teach him this. So there's no more excuses. I just really hope, and I encourage the men, let's do that, men. Let's reject this passivity, lead courageously, accept responsibility without complaint, and let's do some internal investments.
That was beautifully spoken, Big Mike. I know your passion. I tune in and I listen to a lot of your prayers every day, and they're heartfelt. And as you said, to touch people from across the country, man, and to know that you're my classmate, bro. I just want to let you know here, Immerse 360, we've been following you for a while, and I'm proud of you. And I steady see the prayer line and the people that's tuning in steady growing. And I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, because no one's know the conversation that you and the Most High have but you. And, bro, I want to tell you, anything we can do here at Immerse 360, bro, pick up the phone and make that phone call.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. You and I talk in private. I know we got to go here shortly. You and I talk in private. Man, you're doing an awesome work, man. And anybody else, all of the sponsors, thank y'all so much. And my prayer is, man, that what you have just continues to evolve and innovate. And more than anything else, that the messages and all of the greatness that our city has, it don't fall on deaf ears. I hope men, young men, even younger boys, young ladies and younger women and younger and little girls and their moms, man, we hear this content and we don't be hearers only, but also let's be doers. Be both the hearer and let's be a doer of it. And I believe, man, great things are ahead for the city of Bastrop. I know how things look. But be like me. Start dreaming. Start dreaming of a better day. The reason why our race has become so strong and the reason why we thrive even after slavery and racism and all the things we've been through, because we never stop dreaming. So I would encourage the people, no matter how it looks in your family, no matter as a mother, you trying to handle all things by yourself, no matter as a dad, you got baby mama drama, or no matter as an individual don't have kids, no matter if you do have a job, don't have a job, don't like the job you have, no matter what's going on in your life, I want to encourage you to dream and dream big and go reach for every goal that your creator, the Most High God, has given you. So, man, thank you so much for this time, man. I'm humbled and encouraged by it, and I wish nothing but the best for Immerse 360 podcast.
Most definitely, Big Mike, and man, we are humbled and we are honored to have you stop through tonight on the phone lines. And bro, wish your mother, your wife, and your sister, man, and your nieces happy Mother's Day from Immerse 360, bro. And when you're in town, give your boy a holler, man, so we can get on the phone with old Dude Lou, old Kenny Williams. I know you're listening, boy. Shout out to my boy Dude Lou, who in the building, baby. This has been the class of 1995. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. This portion of the show has been brought to you by the Brass Section, Startup Networks, Club Planet Funksville, Real Talk with Miss Niecy, Yo Looking Ass Entertainment, and Mr. Quisa Gibbons, Above Average Healthcare in Carstage, Texas. Hey, I'm your host, Maserati. We want to thank you guys again for another episode of Beyond the Game. Until next time, y'all get involved. Y'all stay encouraged. And most of all, y'all stay immersed. We out of this thing.
Yeah, in the name of Allah, where we from, the merciful, help made us all, be what we are today, the benevolent, the most merciful. Goes out to our black athlete lessons, black entertainers, black movie stars, let's keep the ghetto in our mind. Yeah, I was struck by the luck of the draw. Heaven on earth is what a brother hustling for, fighting for a cause. Born in Louisiana on them bayou floors. Opportunity small, we had nothing at all. Forced to do something, be behind them walls. Stuck between the rock and the hard. Put me on my path close to God. God knowledge of self. High energy, spirits are felt. Quite a step, man, I played on the moon last night. Took flight from the thoughts in my head. Deep focus never left my bed. Knew the ledge from the lessons I read. Trying to fulfill a dream more than Malcolm in my forefather's head. Representing the ghetto.
Share my ghettos hot at night. Why we fuss and fight?